We want to start with an overview about the partnership between SAP and Microsoft. Look a little at the history of both of our companies, how we've been worked together, and just to set basically the foundation of what I think is really a really interesting, a really important partnership in our industries. Then we want to take a look at Microsoft running SAP. So you might know that Microsoft is actually a really big customer of SAP. And we quickly want to talk about Microsoft's journey towards SAP, what we're doing with SAP, and how actually Microsoft is running their SAP systems completely in Azure. Then we'll turn to the other side and look at SAP. If you look at SAP IT, they're also running a lot of SAP system, obviously, for SAP as a company. And a lot of these companies are actually running on Azure. So we'll really then have a look of both SAP and Microsoft, both of them running SAP systems on Azure. And then we'll conclude with an outlook at the extended partnership that was announced in the beginning of 2021, and take a look at some of the cool things that are already there or that will come in the future. So let's start with a look back. And I really love this compilation of pictures because it really shows in a beautiful slide the collaboration between SAP and Microsoft. And here, I mean, we obviously start with Bill Gates and Hasso Plattner meeting almost 30 years ago for the first time in Walldorf, sitting together talking about running SAP systems on Windows NT. And then you can see that this collaboration, this partnership really extended throughout the years, even with changing CEOs, with Bill McDermott and Steve Ballmer, with Bill McDermott and Satya Nadella, and now just recently with Christian Klein and Satya Nadella. So you can really see that even from the top, there's a fantastic alignment between both of our companies. Now, this alignment is not only on the top, but it's really across different levels throughout our organizations. So obviously, when we talk about the go-to-market perspective, we have really joined teams that work together to help our customers, help you basically migrate, run SAP S/4HANA systems on Azure. We are jointly addressing different markets. We're really jointly going to customers, talking about the benefits of using SAP and Microsoft technologies together to really help customers in their journey of SAP and Microsoft adoptions. All of this is actually based on a technical foundation, and I think that's also really, really important. For many, many years now, we have colleagues from Microsoft sitting in Walldorf with the developers. I'm sitting on the SAP campus, really working with colleagues there on a day-to-day basis. Well, at least when the pandemic is over, I'll be there again. Similarly, we have colleagues from SAP sitting in Redmond with our development teams. And obviously this started with working together on SQL Server, for example, making sure that SAP runs extremely well with SQL Server. And now, in the meantime, this has evolved. The teams have adopted new technologies to really, for example, make sure that SAP HANA runs best on Azure. So you can really see that also on a technical level, both SAP and Microsoft, we're working extremely well together. And some of these results are, for example, our huge portfolio of certified virtual machines that allow you to run SAP HANA instances on virtual machines on Azure. Finally, and I think that is something that is not to be underestimated, is that we're both customers. Microsoft is a big customer of SAP. SAP is a big customer of Microsoft. And obviously, with this, we have a lot of lessons learned from each other. We know how to run Azure best. SAP knows how to run SAP best. And with this combination, we have a regular exchange. We talk to each other. If something is not working on Azure for whatever reason, then we can work with the engineering teams. If something is not working with SAP, then SAP can work with the engineering teams to really make sure that this eat your own dog food is something that really also our customers can benefit from. Now, when we look at the installation at Microsoft, I think that's also very important because it's not just some dummy SAP system that we are running. SAP is really business critical for Microsoft. So whether it is our ERP instance, whether it's global trade, supply chain, master data governance, also SaaS applications, success factors, Concur. We are really all in when it comes to SAP. And this is something that you can actually see in our numbers. So if we look at, for example, just the ERP system, we can see that it's a 16 terabyte, highly compressed database. I mean, at the moment, it's running SQL Server, but we have already migrated some of our environments to S4HANA. So again, a perfect lessons learned for us. We are doing exactly the same things that a lot of our customers are doing, migrating from ERP to an S4HANA instead, going through this whole concept of the conversion, changing our business processes. So we can really see that Microsoft is a huge customer of SAP technologies. So this is how Microsoft is doing this. As mentioned before, SAP IT is also a big customer of Microsoft, and they are running and have migrated quite a lot of their SAP systems to Azure. But I think Arniban is actually a much better in a much better position to talk about this. So Arniban, over to you.
Thank you, Holger, for taking us through that wonderful SAP at Microsoft journey. Now, let me take a few minutes to introduce how SAP leverages Microsoft for its workload transformation. But before that, it is important to understand SAP's multi-cloud strategy. A few years back, we faced three issues. The portfolio of cloud applications was growing rapidly, both organically as well as via acquisitions, which meant accommodating more users and workload. Also, applications were starting to go cloud native. SAP joined Cloud Foundry org in 2015, and just a year later, frameworks like Kubernetes, TensorFlow started to gather momentum. Our business technology platform, Data Intelligence, SAP HANA Cloud, used this framework, which meant that the underlying infrastructure had to be highly scalable, distributed, and fault tolerant. Lastly, our own infrastructure was an aggregation of different infrastructure solutions with a combination of homegrown and acquired stacks. Now, this new cloud demand led to more burden on our homegrown infrastructure, and so we had to do something about it. In response, SAP rolled out a multi-cloud strategy, which in summary promotes usage of public cloud vendors or hyperscalers to cater to a growing demand for capacity, scale, and global distribution. Today, we are running on Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, and Alibaba Cloud. Our customers decide their provider of choice. We run certification processes on all public cloud vendors, and we have data protection agreement with them to comply with regulations such as GDPR. At the same time, we are consolidating our internal infrastructure, which is important for serving customers in regulated industries or with special requirements that cannot be met by public cloud providers. Internally, our own development teams are heavy users of hyperscalers, starting from our own business application line of businesses as well as our own technology units. Microsoft Azure stands out as an infrastructure of choice for running SAP workload. The benefits may seem obvious, but having shared history and background of catering to enterprise customers for decades does make Microsoft Azure the best in class in running SAP workload with enterprise readiness. Microsoft and SAP understand the needs of our customers, their stringent requirements around data privacy, security, certification, and compliance. And Microsoft Azure does this without compromising on agility. Now, starting with market-leading certified VMs to run HANA and NetWeaver, Azure is also a frontrunner when it comes to cloud-native technologies such as Azure Kubernetes Service, Azure Functions, and Open Service Mesh. The third attribute where Microsoft and SAP share the same values is openness. We take great pride in getting the community engaged in the latest and the greatest of cloud innovation. Microsoft undoubtedly is one of the largest open source contributors in the world, and we have shared interest in making our users and community successful. We have many open initiatives to name, OData, cloud events, and many more where we work together, and these are the foundational pillars to the success of our joint products. A great validation of Microsoft's leading capabilities is the fact that our IT has chosen Azure as the platform to run business-critical SAP workload. SAP already uses many products from Microsoft, such as Microsoft 365, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, But it was a pivotal decision to shift 44 business critical landscapes to Azure, with 30 plus landscapes slated for migration by next year. SAP IT achieved improved agility and security in addition to saving about 10% of its previous operating cost, and this is huge. Now, if you're interested in reading more about SAP IT's journey to Microsoft Azure, there's a link at the end of the unit where you can read up on an article where your Brooke, global head of SAP IT operations, explains the benefits of this move. SAP and Microsoft has had almost 3 decades of partnership in providing reliable computing solutions to our customers. But the challenge of moving mission critical applications and data to the cloud can still seem daunting. SAP IT has managed to do it, but the question is how can we scale our knowledge and experience to our customers and partners and you to also do it? So SAP and Microsoft came together with a global network of system integrators to forge a co-innovation and co-engineering partnership to give customers a prescriptive set of reference architectures, industry-specific journeys, and joint programs such as collaborative support to streamline migration to the cloud. This course is focused on some of those co-innovations we are driving to help you build on our work to streamline your business application development. To talk more about the partnerships and the co-engineering work, let me invite back Holger. Holger, over to you.
Thanks, Anirban. So now when looking at the announcement, obviously the Teams integration was center of the announcement. And I think that was really nice because we see a lot of customers, especially during the pandemic, really having adopted Teams. And obviously there's a lot of questions from customers. Can I enrich my Teams experience with information from SAP? And so that was certainly one big focus point where we want to make sure that customers that are running SAP and customers that are running Teams, that they can really benefit from both of their investments. And we'll take a look at the Teams integration in a second. But I think it's also important to highlight that the Teams integration was not everything. We also had a lot of announcements around additional services, how we want to help customers to migrate their ERP systems on premise into an S4HANA on Azure environment, how we want to simplify the installation of an S4HANA system in Azure, how we are really working together, for example, to enable the Cloud Applications Library to deploy productive SAP systems, productive SAP S4HANA systems in Azure. Then when we look at other Azure services, when we look at services on the Business Technology Platform, there we also had a lot of announcements where we want to collaborate on the eventing scenarios, for example, where we want to look at security concepts, how to improve the single sign-on experience between SAP and Microsoft. So there are a lot of other areas where we have really decided to work very closely together. And throughout the next month, you will see more and more of these things come to life so that you can really benefit from different integration scenarios. Now, as said, let's take a closer look quickly at the Teams integration. And one thing that I really liked about this announcement was that we are starting with different personas. We are addressing different personas and how they could benefit from leveraging their Teams environment with leveraging their investments in SAP. So we for example, start with the employee. Obviously, in a lot of companies, companies are using success factors for the HR onboarding process, for the whole hire to retire process. And I think it's very easy to imagine that customers, employees also want an experience where they can use out of their Teams environment information from success factors. So this is one area where we are really focusing on. You might have heard about the Microsoft Teams Viva announcement. And these are all the areas where we're really integrating SAP success factors information, learning solutions into our Teams experience. The next thing is the supplier. Again, obviously here, SAP with S4HANA plays an important and crucial role, and we want to help suppliers with the integration with Teams to get a better collaborative experience. That a supplier, different business partners can work together using their familiar Teams environment while being able to access information from the S4HANA system. Finally, when we look at sales, obviously the customer experience solution from SAP is available, is used by a lot of customers. Similar like with the employee and the supplier experience, we want to help the sales folks to be able to also work from teams with their data from the customer experience cloud. So basically, this means I could join a Teams meeting with a potential customer, and in this meeting, I can already access the information from the customer experience, from my SAP customer experience system. I can create new opportunities. I can take notes. I can assign tasks to different colleagues in my company. So this is really a beautiful integration that we're working on to really bring SAP Sales Cloud closer together with teams. Now, if we switch sides and then really take a look at the additional announcement that we had, as said, we want to help in the deployment, in the installation of an S4HANA system. We know that there are still obviously a lot of customers out there that are still running their SAP ERP system on premise, and we want to simplify this process to help customers to migrate easily to S4HANA on Azure. We're working very closely on security and networking topics. So the Business Technology Platform private link service is something that we have already released in beta when we are recording this video right now. And hopefully we'll see more and more of these scenarios over time so that you can really connect your SAP system running on Azure in a very secure way to the Business Technology Platform. Similar in the eventing scenarios, we have already released a few information about the integration of the SAP Service Mesh with the Azure Event Grid service, and there'll be additional announcement and functionalities coming up. Finally, we also are looking at enhancing the developer experience, really trying to see ways on how we can improve the integration of the BTP services with different development tools that are available on the Microsoft side. So with this, actually, I was just obviously scratching the surface of this collaboration between SAP and Microsoft. In the next few units, you'll see some of the examples of how SAP and Microsoft can work together, how you can actually leverage the investments that you have already made in SAP and Microsoft, how you can benefit from some of the integration scenarios that are really interesting for our customers. If you look at the portfolio, here are a few more things where really the combination of SAP and Microsoft really helps our customers get the best out of their investments. So with this, actually, I just want to share a few more links with additional information. Obviously, there's tons of information on the SAP side. There's the Discovery Center missions where we have a lot of content there that help you to experience some additional scenarios of integrating SAP and Microsoft. Similarly, on the Microsoft side, on azure.com/SAP, we have lots of information that help you get started, reference architectures, but also integration scenarios that can help you get the first integration scenarios between SAP and Microsoft going. So with this, thank you very much for